Let's start. Q Hyper, 2021, 6. Page 29 Number 1. Maple University is going to automate all its activities including access controls to its all buildings through its gates and entry points. Maple. Gradually all classes, offices, laboratories, and libraries will also be automated, i.e. access controls will be introduced. For this purpose detailed quotations are being invited from competent and experienced providers/suppliers who can develop and maintain these access controls for 2 years which may be extended for further period. 2. The firm should be experienced and should have technical manpower to handle the work and support. The interested firm may contact at Registrar's Office of Maple University to know the extent of work. Maple. They shall have to submit their offer explaining details of specification, working technique, origin of machineries, etc. in all respects. The necessary documents will be available in the Registrar's Office from April 10, 2017 to 18-10-2017. 2017104201710118. Sealed documents will be received in the Registrar's Office on the October 19, 2017 between 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. 201710191115. Page 29 Number 2. Newspapers, especially large city editions, face a number of trying factors such as declining readership, poor advertising revenues, and stiff competition with other forms of media, most notably multimedia. In reaction, many newspapers now offer online editions of their publications. The job outlook for newspaper reporters is mixed. The bottom line with newspapers rests on the advertising to editorial content ratio, which is dependent on the health of the economy. Many businesses reduce their spending on advertising when the economy is poor. During severe recessions, reporters' jobs are among the first to go. Competition for jobs with large city papers will be fierce. Experienced graduates, with completed internships, will fare well. Writing opportunities for minorities will increase to better reflect the diverse communities served by newspapers. Because the population growth of the suburbs is expected to continue, the number of suburban dailies and weeklies will increase to meet the demand for local news, creating jobs for less experienced reporters or those who prefer working for a smaller paper. Page 30 Number 3. Many thought that Hans Monderman, a Dutch traffic engineer, had hit his head on a mental speed bump during his early years. Hans Monderman. Wouldn't the lack of signs, markings, and barriers cause destruction and death? Yet the engineer persisted in his belief that traffic signals, crosswalks, warning signs, curbs, and even lines painted down the middle of the road are not just annoying, but downright dangerous to drivers and pedestrians alike. He proposed integrating vehicle and foot traffic, in order to create a more holistic driving environment. Few would listen, however. Monderman was patient. Monderman. By the early 21st century, Dutch officials finally gave him the green light to test his theories in a number of small towns there. 2-1. The data astonished skeptics. Within several years, he showed statistically significant reductions in accidents and lost lives, causing his revolutionary ideas to reverberate around a traffic-clogged world. Page 30 Number 4. By the end of the millennium, emotions had become such a central part of psychology's focus that many scholars viewed emotions as the motivational force guiding almost all of human behavior. 2-0. Today, many psychological scientists agree that any decision we make, any relationship we pursue, anything we want, all these judgments, behaviors, and desires are influenced by emotion. Even those decisions which, we believe, are shaped by rationality or logical principles about what is right or good are in fact more often triggered by a gut emotional response. We tell ourselves that such decisions aren't driven by our emotions, and that we are relying on the mind's most sophisticated reasoning processes, but research shows that we are very good at coming up with sophisticated reasons to justify what we want to think, and what we want to think is almost always shaped by how we feel. Page 31 Number 5. The international economic institutions currently lack the enforcement mechanisms to prevent the dominant Western elect bodies from manipulating the rules of the free market system to their advantage. However, as the forces of globalization gain strength and momentum, such violations of the philosophical formulation of the free market inevitably will diminish. In due course, the fundamental competitive dynamic of the global free market system will compel all regimes to conform to free trade rules. The impressive rise of China, India, and Brazil in the global marketplace signals a shift in global influence. When their economies and domestic consumer markets mature, they will be in a strong position to insist that Western elect bodies abide by the principles of the free market system or be denied access to the extraordinarily lucrative trade and investment opportunities they have to offer. A globalizing world will require the redesign of prevailing international institutions, which are currently dominated and governed by the interests of superpowers, into global institutions based on cooperation among equals and which benefit all societies equally. Page 31, number 6. Monumental is a word that comes very close to expressing the basic characteristic of Egyptian art. Never before and never since has the quality of monumentality been achieved as fully as it was in Egypt. The reason for this is not the external size and massiveness of their works, although the Egyptians admittedly achieved some amazing things in this respect. Many modern structures surpass those of Egypt in terms of purely physical size. But massiveness has nothing to do with monumentality. An Egyptian sculpture no bigger than a person's hand is more monumental than that gigantic pile of stones that constitutes the War Memorial in Leipzig, for instance. Leipzig. Monumentality is not a matter of external weight, but of inner weight. This inner weight is the quality which Egyptian art possesses to such a degree that everything in it seems to be made of primeval stone, like a mountain range, even if it is only a few inches across or carved in wood. Page 32, number 7. Human social life originates with the evolution of parental care and the mother-infant bond. The behavior between mother and infant, and later between father and infant, is the foundation stone for adult bonding, friendliness, and love, all of which are at the heart of social organization. Unfortunately, all mammals, including humans, demonstrate ambivalence about other people. As powerfully wired as we are for social contact, so too are we wired for xenophobia, the fear of strangers. This fear begins during the second half of the first year of life, and although it is modifiable by culture, it is never totally absent from human social relationships. This inherent conflict is probably what propelled our evolution into relatively small social groups. We needed social bonds, and yet we had to minimize our fear-arousing contact with strangers. Thus, the perfect solution is a fixed, relatively small group of familiar people. Modern urban life, of course, poses serious problems in this regard. Along with the desire to form social bonds, our innate fear of strangers drove us to establish relatively small social groups where contact with members of other groups could be avoided. The end. Good job.